Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday and Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Hello, Dan. Welcome. Glad you're here. If you just could give me a quick check on my stream in Discord, let me know if everything looks okay. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. You can post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation or the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X. My name there is @DougPless. Just want to let everyone know that Bookmap is encouraging everyone to join Discord. Once you join Discord, you will need to verify your account. What you'll need to go, you can scan this QR code for more information. You will need to go to the verification channel at Bookmap Discord, enter your email address that you use to set up your Bookmap account. You'll get a verification code, and then follow the steps. You should be good to go, and you'll have be able to take advantage of all the benefits of Bookmap Discord, participating in chat. There's a wide variety of chats. There's my chat, a variety of chats, chat rooms on futures, stocks, options, crypto, and many others, and also multiple languages. And then you can also participate in the webinars in Discord. All right, so everyone, please join Bookmap Discord and verify your account. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. That certainly applies to the large cap tech stocks like the Magnificent Seven stocks, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, and the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And just like the S&P 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. And notice when I talk about the futures today, ES and NQ, I focus my attention on SPX and SPY levels for the S&P 500 and NDX and QQQ levels for NQ. And you'll see why in just a couple of minutes. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis. And for setups, and when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset as well as the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome. And I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, April 23rd. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, events, and earnings. And that is for yesterday, today, as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll take a look at the live market. All right, let's start with news items. So the news items that I want to cover, first of all, the Tesla earnings. Tesla reported earnings after the market closed yesterday. Very bad report. Steep drops in earnings and revenue. And of course, Tesla is up between 7 and 8% for the day. All right, also PMI data came out, and that was at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Services PMI came in less than expected, less than the previous number. Manufacturing PMI, this is for U.S., manufacturing PMI came in greater than expected, greater than previous. And then the composite PMI was less than expected, less than previous. Also, no home sales came out at 10 a.m., and that was greater than expected, greater than previous. All right, so that's PMI data. And then what's really driving the market is the tariff chaos, or really more specifically the tariff commentary chaos, tariff commentary coming out of the Trump administration. All right, so we'll take a look at the, let's go ahead and take a look at the S&P 500 now. So we can see the reaction to some of the news. All right, so the commentary really began yesterday afternoon during the market. Treasury Secretary Bessent comments about de-escalation. Trump had more commentary after the close. That was between the futures close at 5 p.m. and then the open at 6 p.m. So you can see the reaction here. This is the just after 6 p.m. yesterday reaction after that. Then grind down to the 5350 level. That is the SPX 5350 level. Then a nice uptrend. So that takes us to the regular trading hours. And more commentary came out at 9:38 this morning. That's right here. And that was good for, it looks like right around a 50-point move. 50-point move in ES in a matter of a minute or so. We'll take a look and see what options traders were doing at that time. They had their fingers on the button ready to go. Not much of a reaction to the 9:45 data, but it looks like there was somewhat of a reaction to the 10 a.m. housing data. All right, so that's the news. We'll certainly take a close look at Tesla, and then the tariff commentary chaos has continued with more commentary. Most recent, just after 10:30, talking about no actual progress. Just everything so far has just been commentary. Anyway, let's take a look at the levels now. So this is the SPY 545 volatility trigger, just below the ES 5500 level. That level acting as resistance earlier today. And note this 5400 level has been one of Spotgamma's, it's been the beginning of the range of Spotgamma's resistance zone from 5400 to 5500. Then after the commentary, just after 10:30, S&P 500 dropped down. This is the upper daily expected move for ES, and just above that is the Spotgamma implied one-day move low for SPX. So my expected moves are based on the closing price from yesterday, and then Spotgamma's implied moves are based on the opening price for SPX. So I like to look at both. All right, so those are the levels in play. So regular trading hours, the SPY 545 volatility trigger acting as resistance on the upside, and then really the SPY 534 level acting as support. All right, so before I talk more about this chart, let's take a step back, take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to SPX. This is a 1 year, 1 day chart. And here is the gap down after the April 2nd Liberation Day tariff announcement. And SPX quickly dropped down to 4,800. That level was tested in the overnight hours. And so far, SPX has not been able to make it back up above that gap level, which is right at 5,500. All right, let's take a look now at a little bit shorter time frame. Let's go to a 30-day, 1 hour chart. So here's that 5,500 level. There's that gap level, 5,500. On the Thursday after the Wednesday afternoon Liberation Day announcement, SPX kind of making a slight downtrend. Tried to break up above that level. That's this line right here, yellow line. Tried to break up above that level today and now trading down below. All right, let's take a look at the expected moves now. The dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. SPX did move up above that level today, now trading down below. So that's the weekly expected move. Then the daily expected move shown by the dashed blue lines, also based on the options market. This is based on the closing price for SPX from yesterday. I do post those levels in Discord every day, the day before. So this very powerful move overnight, SPX gapped up above the upper daily expected move. And then also, just like ES, looks like so far found support at that upper daily expected move. All right, let's take a look at the Spotgamma levels on this chart now. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. These are the dark red lines. First of all, the absolute gamma strike is at 5,000. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That is where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And that level has held steady for quite a while. All right, next level up is the put wall at 5,200. That is the strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. Note that level did move down to 5,000 yesterday, 5,200 on Monday, down to 5,000 yesterday, back up to 5,200 today. So that's a put wall. And then the next level up is the volatility trigger, which dropped substantially from yesterday. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. And above that level, like SPX is trading now, and I'm not convinced of this, above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. We'll take a closer look at gamma in just a minute, and the trace tool shows that gamma notional is still quite negative for SPX. Even though technically SPX is trading above its volatility trigger. Then finally, the call wall remains at 6,000. That's a strike with large net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. All right, so the volatility trigger shifted lower, put wall shifted higher. Same for SPY, volatility trigger lower, put wall higher, and also for SPY, the call wall and absolute gamma strike both shifted higher. So overall, especially for SPY, slightly bullish, shifts higher end levels for the SP 500. And let's wrap up a review of SPX with a 1 minute chart. This is 3 days worth of data. And this is the low on Monday, right around 5,100. High today, 54.69. All right, so right around a 370 point move in from Monday to the high for today. So that would be a good move in a week or a month in normal circumstances instead of a few hours. All right, so again, SPX traded up above its upper daily expected move and upper weekly expected move earlier today. Now still above the upper daily expected move, which acted as support, and below the upper weekly expected move. Also above the volatility trigger. And of course the put wall down at 5,200. All right, let's go back to Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, so I've showed some of these levels before, some of the important levels. Let's take a quick look at a SPY chart. Let me zoom in on this. So you can see the SPY volatility trigger acting as resistance. All right, so again, I focus on the SPY and SPX levels for ES. I mark them on my chart, and I do post the index relationships that I'm using every day to mark these levels on my charts. I do post those in Discord every day, sometime in the morning. So right now, for example, the ES to SPX offset is right around 29 points. So I'm showing SPX 5,400 at ES 54.29. All right, that's the S&P 500. Let's take a look at NASDAQ now. All right, so this is the NQ features of Bookmap, and there are a couple of Spotgamma levels in play. So let's take a look at the underlying index chart so we can identify those levels. I'm going to start with the NDX. And this 19,000 level, around that level, acting as resistance earlier today, that is a large gamma 3 level. So that is NDX. And I believe there's only one Spotgamma level above that at 19,500. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, so there's only one Spotgamma level in play for QQQ. That's this 460 zero gamma level. All right, shifts and levels for NASDAQ. For just like SPX and SPY, volatility triggers shifted lower for NDX and QQQ, and also for QQQ, the put wall shifted higher, call wall lower, and absolute gamma strike shifted higher. All right, so interaction with key levels, underlying levels, much more apparent in the S&P 500 than NASDAQ. Looks like NASDAQ really acting more to the big NQ numbers, 19,150. On the upside, regular trading hours, and then the 750, 18,750 level. So about a 400 point drop after the 1030 commentary. And we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at Gamma. And I'm going to take a quick look at Gamma notional at the beginning of the day. This is market maker's position on the Gamma curve. I believe this is still based on the old model, but it's something I do look at every day. This is Gamma notional market maker's position on the Gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, Russell 2000. Note all these numbers are negative. They're quite negative, indicating market makers have to trade in the direction of price to hedge their delta exposure. So based on this older model, this indicates traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, hence they have to trade, hence negative Gamma, they have to trade with price. All right, let's take a real-time look at Gamma now. And this is the trace tool. It's available to Spotgamma subscribers. Red shading is showing negative Gamma, and the blue shading, there is a pocket of positive Gamma down below 5,300, and you can see that down here, and then more negative Gamma up above. Also, the GEX bars on the left side of the screen are showing positive and negative Gamma. So up above here, and this was larger earlier today, showing positive Gamma at 5,500. This indicates traders are selling calls at this level, or were selling calls, still selling calls at that level. Now they have started selling calls down here at lower levels. And let's see, that is 54.15. And then 5,400. So let's just step back in time real quick. Go back to and this is updated every 10 minutes. So we'll go 10 minutes after the cash open at 9:40. Yeah, that's not updating. Step forward in time. All right, there we go. So we can see just after the open, that 5,500 level, traders selling calls, market makers buy the calls, hence the positive Gamma there. And let's step forward now. Keep your eye on that 5,500 level. All right, so as price is dropping, the Gamma at that 5,500 level starts to drop. And as price moves away from that level, Gamma is greatest at the money at expiration. All right, remember what this is showing us is that in negative Gamma market, price moves quickly through negative Gamma and more slowly, more mean reverting action in price in positive Gamma. So negative Gamma, looking for wider trading ranges. All right, so that is the positional analysis for today. So based on this, I was looking for high volatility based on the negative Gamma, and then directional bias in this market really just depends on the latest tweet, the latest news release, the latest commentary from the Trump administration, and providing plenty of opportunity for nimble traders. So let's take a look at some of those opportunities now. And I'm going to start with the S&P 500 and start as always by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. This is the Hero tool, Hero indicator. It's available to Spotgamma subscribers. Hero stands for Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity, and this is the index signal. So it's showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the S&P 500 index components, SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. And the purple and red line, that is the line for the hero signal, and the white line is price for SPX. There's another hero signal that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. That is the S&P 500 equity signal. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. And typically this chart is a little bit more aligned with the overall price action, and the S&P 500 index signal is a little bit more noisy but provides more clarity around the turning points today, and it has definitely been the better signal today. So let's zoom in. And we'll take a look in the morning session. And remember that 9:30 a.m. news. And there's the reaction in the options market right at 9:30 a.m. And that was mostly call buying. So that was like an institutional kickoff, that large vertical line, a lot of large block orders, institutional orders, driving price higher. And then the hero signal made a couple of peaks right at 9:52, 10:12. And then the big peak right here, this big rollover right at 10:30 as some additional clarification commentary came out. So let's go to Bookmap. Let's take a look at this. Let's go back to ES. Let's zoom in on this. Zoom in on the first couple of hours here. So let's start with this 938 move. So there it is, support right around the SPY 540 level, move right up to the SPY 545 level, pull back, more of a grind up right again to that 545 level. And that was that first peak in the hero signal 952. Second peak, actually that was a little bit later, 10:12, and then the final peak. So deeper pullbacks, really pretty choppy price action. Could have played that either from the long side or the short side. Watching the hero signal and price action. Then so far, the best move of the day. That 10:30 reversal. So let's take a look at that. Take a look at that. We already looked at the order flow, so you can see in the subchart here, this is showing this light blue line, showing that large traders were already fading that move with iceberg orders. They were selling that. So they were, let's line this up. So they were fading this move higher, this final move higher up to 545. Selling strength, pretty typical of large traders, again with iceberg orders, they used to hide their size. So that's your first clue of a reversal there. Second clue, of course, is the multiple test of that 545 level. You can see the shift in order flow. Green volume dots, the volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green volume dots show more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots show more sellers than buyers. Pretty clear shift in order flow from bullish to negative there. And with that final test of the 545 level, buyers are exhausted, aggressive sellers come in. Cumulative volume delta shown by the dark blue line shifts sharply lower. And then sell stop orders shown by the yellow line help to fuel that move lower. Down past the previous support level at 540, all the way down to 534. So that's an 11-point move lower in SPY, or over a 100-point move lower in ES in a matter of a couple of hours, just based on commentary. All right, now it looks like the S&P 500 is trying to recover. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. I'll take a look at a few stocks after this, and then we'll get to the live market. NASDAQ, very similar price action. Again, about a 400-point move lower in NASDAQ after the commentary, 10:30 commentary. Let's go take a look at Hero. Check out equities. I thought the S&P 500 index signal provided more clarity with this turnaround. It took the S&P 500 equity signal longer to turn around. All right, NASDAQ. This is equivalent to the S&P 500 index signal. This is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the NDX and QQQ. Price is shown for NDX, that's the white line. Very clear peak patterns here. Oops. Those are very reliable short reversal patterns, bearish reversal patterns. Let's shift to puts and calls, see what traders are doing. So I think that today the total signal is providing more clarity. So here's that 10:30 reversal. Very clear reversal in the Hero signal. And again, there's that 9:38 a.m. Actually, that was before. Let me zoom in on that. Looks like this is the 9:38 right here. All right, let's take a look at Mag 7. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Tesla. All right, so there's that 9:38 a.m. Institutional kickoff. And then again, just like the SP equity signal, which is really the Mag 7 plus 493, was late in signaling this reversal lower. So let's go back to the NASDAQ signal. Then go back to Bookmap. I thought the reversal was more clear in the SP 500, starting with the iceberg orders. So in the case of NASDAQ, large traders were actually buying NQ futures with the large orders they used to hide their size. And they were continue to do that as the NASDAQ dropped. And then finally they stopped when NASDAQ started to reverse higher just before 12:30. You can see the shift in cumulative volume delta really didn't start until almost, maybe 50 minutes or so after NQ started to drop lower. But limits sell orders, stop sell orders were helping to fuel that move lower. All right, that's NASDAQ. Let's take a look at some stocks real quick. Then let's get to the live market. All right, I'm going to skip over to Microsoft here. I want to look at 3 Mag 7 stocks and then 3 stocks that are other stocks, not Mag 7. All right, so there's Microsoft, bullish opening drive up to the 380 liquidity level. That's one thing, nice thing about trading stocks. These are limit sell orders. The heat map and bookmap showing a history of the limit orders from the order book. And this is typical of a stock. These limit sell orders or buy orders come in typically at the cash open, and they remain in place until they're filled. So limit sell orders at 380 acting as a magnet for price, and those were finally consumed. And then limit buy orders at 375, and those were finally consumed, acting for a magnet for the move down. All right, let's take a look at the hero signal for Microsoft. Zoom in a bit. Bullish opening drive. Full alert comes in, just looks like about 9:34. Signals significant options activity, get your attention. Then that block order comes in, 9:38. Institutional order, and Microsoft responds, moves higher. As traders buy calls and sell puts. Calls shown with the orange line, puts shown with the blue line. Direction of the lines indicates options delta. So a rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls. Market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Same for the blue line. Rising blue line indicates traders are selling puts. And then the options traders pretty quickly took their foot off the gas just after 10 a.m. And then Microsoft began to move lower. So bullish opening drive, bullish momentum with both the orange line and blue line moving the same direction. Then some exhaustion and consolidation. All right, so there's Microsoft, again, bullish opening drive. Next stock, NVIDIA. Pretty choppy, but overall, let me go back to the total signal. And I thought this set up a nice divergence long. In the morning, price action moving down. Whoops, wrong tool. Price action down. Hero signal moving up. Setting up a nice long divergence long. And the hero continued up and price moved higher. And again, exhaustion, in this case, right around 10:30. As options traders took their foot off the gas. So let's go take a look at NVIDIA. Look for that divergence long right around 10 a.m. Go to NVIDIA. $10 a.m., there's that divergence long. Kind of a double bottom there. Not a lot of range in NVIDIA, but again, a nice long setup. Notice the green volume dots coming in starting after 11:30. A lot of aggressive buyers, traders buying NVIDIA shares. You can also see that the cumulative volume delta is rising starting about 11:30. All right, back to Hero. All right, next, Tesla. Again, Tesla reported earnings after the close. Let's zoom in on this a bit. Kind of an interesting pattern here in Tesla. Kind of this rounded bottom. Not a very good. Yeah, it's a little better. Kind of this rounded bottom. So overall net, traders taking negative delta options positions until about 10 o'clock. Then they started taking positive delta positions. And this zoomed back out. So they were starting to buy calls and sell puts right around 10:10. Price spoke above the 250 level. And then traded up until the options traders took their foot off the gas just after 11. Some exhaustion. Now it looks like the traders have started buying calls again and selling puts right around 12:30. So in this case right now, the blue line, orange line moving the same direction. Price moving back higher, maybe trying to make it back up to the highs of the day, right around 11:10. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla finally found support right around 245. Then started to move higher as traders started buying calls and selling puts, and made it almost up to 260 before the options traders were exhausted. And now again, remember, the call buyers and put sellers have come back in, and also the aggressive buyers starting 11:30, pretty similar to NVIDIA. You can see the shift in cumulative volume delta from negative to positive, and the green volume dots start to become more apparent after 11:30 as traders are trying to take Tesla back up to the 260 level. So liquidity at 259 and 260, next targets up above Tesla. Back to Bookmap. All right, let's take a quick look at, let's stay with puts and calls. Let's take a quick look at some other stocks. This morning, I thought some of these lower price non-Mag 7 stocks, I thought the price action was a little bit more apparent. So this is Robinhood, very bullish opening drive, very typical pattern. Traders buying calls, bullish opening drive. Overall, net, the put line has been pretty flat. Traders buying calls, flow alert comes in just after the open. Get your attention, signals significant options activity. And this is a very short, bullish opening drive. Just about 20 minutes. Call buyers take the foot off the gas, and then Robinhood drops down as the fuel that had been driving that move higher has now dried up. So very simple pattern here in Robinhood. Bullish opening drive, lasted about 20 minutes. Call buyers take the foot off the gas. So there's the bullish opening drive. Call buyers take the foot off the gas. Then a steady move down from 47 back down to 45. That's Robinhood. Next stock, Palantir. Definitely stronger than Robinhood today. Let's see what options traders have been doing in Palantir. Another bullish opening drive. Traders buying calls that's shown by the rising orange line. Flow alert again, signals significant options activity. Note 100 is the call wall key gamma strike. Looked like price broke up above that level, then found support at that level just after 10 and continued to move higher. And like Robinhood, traders are buying calls and selling puts. So bullish opening drive, bullish momentum. Options traders exhausted right around 1050. You can see the call line flattens out and the put line flattens out, and price consolidates, now trying to move higher. Let's go back to Bookmap. So there's the bullish opening drive. Let me turn on Market Pulse. It'll take about a minute, few seconds, a minute for this to load. I want to see if Market Pulse typically does a very good job of marking the deeper pullbacks for an entry in a trend. So you can see the bullish opening drive up until about 1045, 1050. Options traders take the foot off the gas. Price consolidates. Well, let's zoom in on this opening drive. So I like to use this Market Pulse price change algorithm to mark the deeper pullbacks. For entries here, I'm looking at the bright red or the darker red in an uptrend. In this case, it was more of a leading indicator. You can see as price was chopping around, the Market Pulse price change indicator was already moving higher. Remember that 100 call wall key gamma strike just above VWAP there, the light blue line, providing a very nice pullback entry for a move up to 101, 102, and 103. There's the next pullback entry as price moves on up to 103. So very nice bullish opening drive, very clear order flow in Bookmap and hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero. All right, finally, another higher beta stock, Tempest AI, another bullish opening drive. Let's see what options traders are doing. Tempest AI. Bullish opening drive, call buyers, shown by the rising orange line. Call buyers slowing down and Tempest holding steady. So very aggressive call buyers for the first, looks like about 50 minutes. They slow down a little bit, slow down a little bit more. But again, Tempest AI holding on to its gains, all driven by call buyers. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. Also driven by aggressive buyers. Cumulative volume delta has been steady. All right, so there's the indexes, S&P 500, NASDAQ, 3 Mag 7 stocks, including Tesla, which reported earnings yesterday afternoon, and then 3 non-Mag 7 stocks that have had nice bullish setups this morning. All right, let's go back to the indexes now. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. Any questions? Does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, let's go back to Hero now, see what options traders are doing. Let's do a, I'm going to change to the total signal, do a quick check of trace. All right, still in negative gamma. Looks like, again, there's a little bit of pocket of positive gamma. That's at that 54.15 level. Looks like that level may be acting as resistance. So that would be that 54.15 would be right around here. That that GEX bar at 54.15 positive gamma, and just above that is the SPY 540 level and VWAP shown by the light blue line. Again, potential resistance. And then now SPX chopping up and down around 5,400. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. Get rid of that line. All right, back to Hero. Back to S&P 500. Total signal, we'll get rid of that. All right, so the index signal, and I'm going to open up another tab here with Hero. So I can look at, let's go to the total signal, or open full screen, S&P equities. So I can jump from one to another, one to the other. And zoom in and stay zoomed in. All right, so index signal, I think, today is providing more clarity. Showing traders are taking positive delta options positions. So let's go back now and take a look at order flow. Looking at the subchart here, large traders have been selling with iceberg orders shown by the falling light blue line. Cumulative volume delta starting to shift lower. And the S&P 500 having trouble getting back up to that positive gamma node at 54.15. And there we go. A couple of things about the way I trade. Of course, I'm only presenting on one screen, so I can only show one screen at a time. But when I'm trading, I have multiple screens. So I'm watching Hero on one screen and Bookmap, of course, on the other screen, and then their trading platform on another screen. So 3 main screens to trade. And of course, again, I'm only presenting on one screen, so I have to jump back and forth. And let's go to the equity signal. Shift to puts and calls. Shift back to the total signal. All right, so that is in this closer time frame, last 10 minutes or so, grinding lower, moving lower. Go back to the index signal. That really didn't start to move lower until just about 3 minutes ago. All right, back to Bookmap. Slaughter says Google earnings tomorrow. Yeah, that's right. So coming up for the rest of the week, tomorrow morning, durable goods orders, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Google reports earnings after the market closes, and then on Friday, 10 a.m., consumer sentiment comes out. And of course, again, there could be commentary about tariffs or about the Fed any moment. All right, so ES trading in a pretty narrow range for the last half hour or so, between SPY 537 and 539. Now breaking down below. Let's go back and check Hero. Go to the equity signal. Also moving lower. Right now, I think the equity signal is providing more clarity. And that's definitely showing a move lower. Let me darken up the heat map a little bit. Now on Monday, the liquidity in the heat map was providing great target support and resistance. Not so much today. It looks like the algo showing this cloud is back. I didn't see it on Monday. This cloud of buy and sell orders that follow price, algo driven. All right, last call for questions, comments. Go back to Hero. Equity signal continues to move lower. Same for the S&P 500. Let's zoom out. Nick, welcome. Glad you're here. Asked for my chart settings. I certainly don't have time. I've got about a minute left. Actually, 10 seconds left. So I don't have time to go over my chart settings. If you want to join Bookmap Discord, if you're not already there, you can join Discord and I can answer some specific questions about my chart settings. And if you want more help with chart settings, I can. I do offer one-on-one mentoring, so you can contact me on Discord with a direct message. Kitatech, welcome, glad you're here. Asked to see the charm map, so let's take a look at that. Typically, in this negative gamma environment, I don't look at charm as much as I do in a positive gamma environment. So the red showing negative time decay pressure, selling pressure due to time decay, and potential pinning targets could be in these areas of blue support below and red selling pressure above. But typically look for I look for pin targets, more reliable pin targets in a positive gamma environment. But this is showing potential pin targets, just for the record, at 54.10. That's lined up with this blue Gex bar there. And then the price does drop down, right down to 53.40. And that's down below that blue Gex bar at 53.60. One last look at Hero. All right, so the S&P 500 index signal, turning it up now. Again, this is a beta version of Hero, and it does sometimes when left unattended, it will not refresh properly. All right, so now the index signal was showing price turned higher, now lower again. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap. We'll wrap it up with Bookmap. So really just chop right now. All right, everyone, I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Please join us in Bookmap Discord if you're not already a member. And just again, news, durable goods tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Google reports earnings after the market closes. And then 10 a.m. consumer sentiment. And keep your eye out. Get a good news feed for ongoing tariff commentary. All right, everyone, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great afternoon. Bye.